Well, lawmakers are reacting to the Supreme Court's possible decision on abortion.
That's right. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer condemned his Republican colleagues for the decision and called for a vote on abortion legislation in Congress.
Every Republican senator who supported Senator McConnell and voted for Trump justices, pretending that this day would never come, will now have to explain themselves to the American people. It is my intention for the Senate to hold a vote on legislation to codify the right to an abortion in law.
CBS News Washington reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns joins us now for more on this. Hi, Caitlin. Welcome. Well, you heard Leader Schumer there and other Democrats calling on Congress to codify Roe. What would that mean exactly, and could that work?
Hey, Tanya. Well, codifying Roe up here on Capitol Hill faces an uphill climb. Schumer says that he is going to have a vote on this. He already had a vote in February on legislation to enshrine Roe into law. And what happened was he didn't even get the full support of Democrats. It didn't overcome the filibuster, this procedural hurdle to get to the bill. Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, joined Republicans in voting against the measure to bring this up for debate. So that kind of shows how difficult it will be to get legislation through on Capitol Hill. Now, that legislation had some conditions that people were opposed to. Senators Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, both Republicans to keep an eye on here. They have also introduced legislation that would be just a straightforward codification of Roe into law. So looking at what they are weighing here. But this speaks to the way in which Democrats have little recourse at this point to make sure abortion rights are federal law if, in fact, Roe is overturned by the Supreme Court. You've seen a flurry of activity at the state level ahead of this. Democrats up here on Capitol Hill are pushing for the elimination of the filibuster in order to get abortion rights passed. That is also extremely unlikely. There is not a coalition of support among Democrats to override the filibuster or to abolish the filibuster, let alone a coalition of support for enshrining abortion rights into law. So there's little recourse here, and that raises the question about what kind of impact this might have on the midterm elections. Democrats may be more galvanized than ever to turn out in the midterms. Our polling last year showed that Democrats were more likely than Republicans to turn out in the midterm if Roe is overturned. But there are a lot of question marks here, and there is a question of whether Democrats might feel demoralized. You have, Democrats saying that they need to go back to voters who elected them, the majority in the House, the Senate, and the White House, and with little to show for it. So I think those are all questions that are being asked up here on Capitol Hill ahead of these critical races this fall.
Caitlin, some Republicans are railing against the leak, not so much the substance of the draft, but the leak itself. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is accusing Democrats of uniting around that leak. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The radical left immediately rallied around the toxic stunt. The cheerleaders for partisan court packing applauded. What they suggested was the work of, quote, a brave clerk, making a last-ditch Hail Mary attempt to cause a political firestorm and cause the court to reconsider. Liberals want to rip the blindfold off Lady Justice. They want to override impartiality with intimidation.
Caitlin, what are some of the other reactions that we're getting from Republicans on Capitol Hill?
Mola, it's really interesting. The strategy from Republicans up here on Capitol Hill is to focus on the process, focus on the leak, and not as much on the substance, which could signal that they do know that this could be a political liability, perhaps, for Republicans, given that there is majority support for keeping Roe in place. So right now they're focused on the substance. Focused on the leak and not the substance. We do know that Republicans have historically galvanized around the issue of abortion and the issue of the court. It is something that helped Donald Trump get elected and helped him maintain support among Republicans. So that is also something to watch. Again, keep an eye on Senators Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins today up here on Capitol Hill.
They're always interesting to watch. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you very much.
Thank you.